Hi everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. So you can tell by the title of this video that this is a how to navigate the website. So if you're thinking to yourself, why the hell is this guy making a video to show me how to use the website, this video isn't for you. But if you're thinking, thank God it's about time this guy made this video, stay tuned. We're going to go through everything that the website has to offer, because there's a lot of stuff here, and it can seem overwhelming, even to me. For starters, you can tell it's Christmas time. I haven't taken down the extra graphics that I like to put up yet, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. Any time of the year, you're still going to get the same links. So when you first come here, if you've typed in the URL, leonschainsawpartsandrepair.com, this is going to be the default page that you come to. And you've got a bunch of menu options up here. More, obviously, shows you a lot more. The main page is basically going to give you a button to the illustrated parts list that we're going to go through. The parts categories. So the vast majority of folks that come here are going to come here looking at home light chainsaw parts. That's what I have the most of, that's what I advertise the most. But there's a lot of other stuff out here. Occasionally I'll have running chainsaws and stuff from all these other categories, some extra IPLs, the various Jacobson products, some pump stuff, and even other brands of stuff. It's not that I go and seek that stuff out, other than a few. Green Machine, if I see a good deal on parts, I'll pick those up, because there is an interchange from, the time that Homelight bought them, or Textron, I guess, technically bought them, but there was some interchange in the models, and I do have a decent selection of the older Green Machine parts, too. Again, there was some interchange with John Deere, especially from, again, when John Deere bought Homelight from Textron in the early 90s. Got a decent amount of McCulloch, simply because I do still work on quite a few of those, so it makes sense when there's a good deal to pick up some McCulloch parts. I do have some Pioneer and some Poulin, just a lot of different stuff, but these categories, so this will be a small one. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but I'm going to open up Remington. And this is what you'll see. There should be up to 96 items per page. I don't have that many for Remington. This is it. Remington chainsaw. That's all I've got. I don't actively seek Remington, but the part numbers are similar enough to McCulloch and Homelight that it's not uncommon for me to get a parts slot in that has some of this stuff mixed into it. So when I do, get it up for sale here, and try to ID what it'll fit. Some cases, I don't have a foggy clue. Like that screw. I don't know, looks like a carburetor screw. Probably is. What Remington it fits, I have no idea. But anyway, I'll close that tab, and we're back here. And of course, my shameless plug for House of Homelights down here. If you click on this, I'm right clicking so that I don't have to keep reopening windows, but here's House of Homelight. Shameless plug. Great forum. There's a lot of really good members here, a ton of information, and one of the best ones right here, Homelight serial numbers and dates. You go into that forum and you will be able to decode with reasonable accuracy most Homelight serial numbers, and you'll get your date of manufacture and perhaps the line that it was built on. And yeah, it's fun stuff, good stuff to go through. But the nuts and bolts of what you're doing when you come to my website is you're either looking for parts or information or both. So what I think I'll do is I'll run through each tab and kind of give you a sense of what's on each tab. So we've already done that here, but I'm going to go into the big, which is the Homelight chainsaw. And this is where I've got it broken down by models where it makes sense, as much sense as it possibly can. Now there are some parts that will fit so many models, and I obviously am not going to, I'm not going to group categories like that. I'm going to go by saw families. So the 923, 926 up through the 990. That makes sense. So in that category, again, you're going to get a big listing of stuff. And I do occasionally make a mistake and get one where it doesn't belong. But if you go by the title and you look to see, is the model you're looking for either in the title or in the actual product listing itself. And the detailed list is going to be down here, buried in the actual long description. So if you're looking for something for a C72, that doesn't show up here. I mean, it kind of does under C series, but down here it says C72. Crankcase seal 55048. Now I'm questioning myself. Did I choose a bad one? Does that actually go in a C72? I'm looking in my cheat sheet, and it says it does. I haven't had a huge number of C72s apart, but anyway. Yeah, so that's kind of how everything's laid out. You've got big, broad, listings of parts. These are going to appear just in a chronological order of when I got them and put them on the website. Beyond that, there is no rhyme or reason to how they're listed in here. That can be a pain in the neck. If you know your part number, and what was I looking at? Let's use that air filter. That one, the 57599. Say you know that number. All the pages are going to have this search bar. You type 57599 in there, and there it is. It comes up. 99% of the time, if you do that and it doesn't come up, I don't have it. As I've mentioned in other videos and in other places on the website, I don't. When I buy parts, it's a lot from a closed shop or dealer, and I don't typically have any idea of what's in there. I've got a rough idea, but not individual part numbers. And that doesn't get cataloged until I put it on the website. And at that point, everything's accurate and up to date. So the odds that I have something sitting in a box waiting to be listed is actually fairly slim, because I go through that stuff pretty quickly when I get it in. So this product has a -A at the end of it. Now this search bar does not like dashes and A's. It came up this time, but the best way to go about something is to use just the numbers, and then pay attention if you're working with clutch parts where the suffix actually matters, whether it's a 1A, 2B, 3C. Sometimes that really does matter, especially on clutch parts. You can sort through what has come up on the screen at that point. So that's a quicker way. If you click on everything, excuse me, I need to zero that out. If you're looking at just literally everything, you're going to get the same categories over here, but this is going to sort by how many items are in each category. So home light hardware, there's 463 screws, nuts, and bolts. It's up top. That's the biggest one. Then we've got our XL700 to 925 family, and so on and so forth. So where this is useful is if you're looking up a part number that carries across multiple lines, and there's a huge listing of it, you can sort it using these categories. Now 69312 in McCulloch is a Super Pro 105 fuel hose. In home light, it's a piston ring for an XL or XL2 or some of these trimmers. So if you had a lot of stuff here and you wanted to sort just by the model family that you're looking for, that would narrow it down and give you less stuff to look at. So I think that's about it. I mean, you do have the ability to include sold out items. I typically hide those from the website view because I don't have them at that time, and I have no way of knowing when or if I will ever have them in stock again. So Google links will still pick up out of stock items and bring you to the website, and it'll show sold out. But yeah, just something that's there, that's encoded in the website, I can't do a whole lot with. The model families here, I try to list a picture of the saw. Me personally, I thought, that'd be kind of cool, help identify it. I don't know if it's extraordinarily useful or not, but almost all of these saws are ones that are in my collection. Very few exceptions there. And then here's a few items that have made the front page that probably shouldn't. Like in this case, I've just copied listings, so I need to get those off the front page. But typically I reserve this space for stuff that's actually of importance to people, like calendars and, you know, the oddball novelties like t-shirt and coffee cup. Okay, so we've gone through the store, and there's not a whole lot else on here. Those are just all those brand categories, so that's pretty much it. So we're going to go back up to the top and go to our next tab, the About. Not much to say here. If you want to read through this, you figure out how I got going on all of this this stuff, this craziness, this hobby that has exploded. Talks about my time on eBay, how this website came into practice. Got some FAQs here. See, I've done some of these videos before. And then, you know, simple stuff. How do I place an order, payments, you know, all of that sort of stuff. All honesty, I probably should bag the Facebook stuff because I just don't have time to get over there. I barely have time to look at comments on YouTube, and a lot of times I don't, to be very honest. The newsletter is still active. I don't do it quite as often as I should. My goal is quarterly, and the last couple of years, if I get 2 out a year, I'm doing pretty good. But if you want to sign up for it, that's typically how I'll communicate a sale. You know, I like to do those around Thanksgiving, and occasionally in the spring too, if I'm way overstocked on stuff. So I don't spam people. You're not going to get a weekly, hey, look at this, we've got a new piece of Tygon in stock. You won't get that. Talk about returns and chainsaws and buying parts. I do buy parts. You know, there are times where I can't just, you know, either have too much in stock, or, you know, too much waiting to be put into stock. But yeah, same thing with chainsaws. There are certain times where I can buy a lot of saws, or, you know, if I'm looking for something certain for my collection. So if you've got some stuff, you know, it never hurts to send an email. But that's really all the About tab is. Now, if you've come here looking for information, this is where we get to the good stuff. Parts diagrams. So these are PDF scans of original HomeLight illustrated parts lists. Within this tab, there are 4 total tabs. It's going to default to chainsaw IPLs. They're sorted by chronological, alphabetical, as much as possible. So we've got the 420, and you just scroll through. We start getting down to the 923, 926, that series. Model 17, the 26. I mean, I'm not going to read all these off. In some cases, I'll list a UT where the IPL has specifically called it out, and it matters. Many saws, like say a Super XL automatic, it matters up to a point, but it's not uber specific like some of the 180 and Super 2 and XL models that had oddball carburetors, oil pumps. Very specific to the UT. So if it really, really matters, I'll list it in there. Otherwise, you know, you can kind of go through. I'm going to get down closer to the bottom and find the Super XLs. Okay. Here we go. So, the earliest, most of the time, is listed first. These are the very early models of the Super XL, the XL Automatic, and then the more common Super XL AO that we know starts right here and works its way up. And then we get all the way to the old blue and big reds that we found, you know, in the early to late 90s, that the models that were produced were encapsulated in here. So it's kind of how it's sorted out, where it's a Terry built, which is typically a Canadian saw or an international model. I've done the hyphenation and then Terry in there to kind of help sort through that. You know, the XL76s, XL1s, and then, you know, some of these in here. This is a big page. If you don't want to scroll through the whole thing, you can always use a keyboard shortcut, Control F. Now I'm working in Windows. What you Mac guys can do beats the hell out of me. I don't know those machines, nor do I want to. It'd be like me driving a Ford. Just ain't gonna happen. But a Control F, you say you're looking for an XL75 IPL, see how it took you right down there. So a very easy way to find the IPL. Now what you've got in here, download file. Now again, I right click everything so that I don't lose my tab. It's going to open it up in your browser window in a new tab. So this is a PDF, it's displaying through my browser, and it's all right there. Now in my browser I can zoom in, zoom out, you know, get some detail. Yes, they are watermarked. I've got literally thousands of dollars of IPLs that, you know, I've collected, and I want to share the information, but I don't want somebody unscrupulous taking copies of these and then selling them on eBay for $10 a whammy. That wouldn't set well with me, so that's why the watermark is there. I keep it light. It does not obliterate any of the part numbers. And I know some folks don't care for it, but that's why it's here. So if you want to go a step further, like, man, I want to save this. I don't want to just look at it in my browser window. Again, this is my browser, but you should have a download feature, which would allow you to save it. Now, I use Adobe Acrobat. There's many other PDF, you know, programs out there, but this would allow you to save it to your computer. And I highly recommend doing that if you're working on the model, because then you can print a copy of it, take it out to your shop, work off of it, get it all filthy, throw it away, and you still get a digital file here. So that's personally how I would do it. So we'll get out of that. Again, a huge list of chainsaw IPLs. I do have a circular saw in here and a couple of the early cutoff saws. I need to clean this up a little bit. When I first built this, I thought I would have one page of just IPLs. Let's go back up to the top. You can see that's not true. I've got more than one page or one tab. Where HomeLight issued separate carburetor illustrated parts lists, I've got them listed in here, again by manufacturer and then by carburetor model. And you can do the same, Control F, and type in, if you're looking for a 104, it's going to take you right there. Later IPLs from about the mid-70s on up, if there was a carburetor breakdown, it was going to be in the main saw IPL itself, and HomeLight quit selling a lot of the individual parts that they used to put a part number to. You either had to buy their comprehensive rebuild kit, or you didn't replace it. And to be fair, a lot of those hard parts really don't need to be replaced. The needle screws, unless you bent one, they really don't wear. So, but anyway, as I come across carburetor IPLs, I do add them in here. Same thing with the chainsaw IPLs. That's not complete. It's 95, I would say, % complete. But as I come across new ones, I'll add them. Different revisions. The Canadian The Terry models are what I'm really still behind the 8 ball on. There's still a lot of coverage that's missing out there. So, as I can, I'll add them. Next tab, service memos. So I'm working on a actual index similar to this. This was just one that HomeLight had printed for, I think, a span of 10 years, and it was very basic. But I'm working on a document that will tell you exactly what year service memo contains what information, so that you'll be able to search within that document and then know which service memo you want to look at. Now, I'm going to open up one from a year that, we would more commonly have saws from. Again, same PDF format. You can see this one's a bit bigger. It's taking a little more time to load. But these are what the service memos look like. Going to have a date, probably a part number, or at least a description of what's going on, the models affected, and it's going to go on to talk about it. Now, this is a handlebar and clamp kit, so rather than that old style handlebar that just screwed up under the fuel tank, now this has a clamp that'll use those same holes, but the handlebar spins or goes all the way over to the oil tank and adds an extra screw. It's just stronger, less likely to break. But this memo from 1976 was what would have been sent to the HomeLight dealers at the time, and advising them of the new kit, that new saws were going to come installed this way. So that was their way of getting information out. Nowadays, we'd send an email. This was the email back in the day. And you'll notice that some of the stuff I have will say courtesy of somebody else. Now, this gentleman is a member of House of HomeLight, and his collection of these service memos is probably the best there is. I believe he has every single one. And he actually took the time to go through what I had posted and get copies of what he had and blend it together so that we had a much more complete listing of them out here. So, props. That was awesome. That really got a lot of information out. So, anyway, that's what service memos are. Sometimes it's as silly as, detailing a tool with a new bearing, new type of retainer screw this is the crankshaft bearings. You can read through this stuff for hours. Sit down with a cup of coffee if you're bored, and there's all kinds of good information in here. Okay, get back up here. Other HomeLight equipment IPLs. Now, this is a work in progress and not a high priority for me. That's an honest assessment of where it's at. As I come across stuff and have time, I will start filling in the cutoff saw, multi-purpose saw, whatever you want to call it, string trimmers, blowers, you name it. I have many more IPLs. It's just, I started with scanning what people were asking me about, and chainsaws were absolutely, runaway the most that I was being asked about. So, that's what I started with, and when I have time, I'll go through and keep updating this. But you might find what you need in here. So, again, string trimmers, the blowers, pretty much everything that isn't a chainsaw should be, if I have it posted, will be in here. Same PDF files. Okay, so then we can go over to more HomeLight literature and information. Wasn't that what we were just looking at? Sorta. But this is even more. So again, we've got more tabs here. We're going to start with ads and articles. This is stuff that I've just come across. Whether it's a magazine ad, brochures, articles that were, in chainsaw age. That was a dealer, industry publication from, the 50s all the way up into, I believe, the early 90s. So there's all kinds of stuff. So like this, 1970 XL400 ad from chainsaw age. It's just a scan, You can see it was a little crooked, didn't lay in the scanner bed properly, but it is an ad from that issue of Chainsaw Age for an XL400 automatic. So just old stuff. You know, if you have an XL400 and that's the centerpiece of your collection, finding something like this might be kind of cool. So that's what it is. There's not a huge amount of stuff in here, and I'm certain I have more more magazines to go through and pull stuff out of, but as I can, I'll keep updating this. And here's a 650 ad. And this would have been when the 650 was just being released back in '75. I mean, it's just cool old stuff, and that, even though this was obviously a staged photo in a way, that is a real logger cutting down a big damn tree with a Homelight 650. So, you know, it's just cool. Product spec sheets. This is another spot where that gentleman from House of Homelight really filled in a lot of stuff. This is chainsaw spec sheets. Now, not everything's here, obviously. I mean, the 50s stuff there's a pretty big glaring open hole there, but there's a lot of stuff here. I mean, like, okay, here we go. A 770 gear stick, or gear shift saw. That's the spec sheet for it. Now, it may not have all the information you're looking for, but this kind of stuff is what made, what Mike Akers would have used for his chainsaw page that we've all seen. If you look for anything on a vintage chainsaw, you've come across Mike Akers' page. So this is the kind of information that would have helped him fill in his sheets. So, again, just a lot of really good information. Yeah, product spec sheets. I mean, there's a lot here. There's a heck of a lot here. Yeah, not every model, but a lot of them. Product catalogs. These are a pain to scan because they're huge. They're huge files. Let's see what the 1978 Chainsaw Product Guide is. Again, you can see it's taken a little bit to load. I've got a decent internet connection. Yeah, just scanned copies. This is what would have been sitting at your Homelight dealer's, front counter. If you went in and said, hey, I need to order a saw, they would have whipped this out and said, well, what do you need? What are you doing? Look at that. I'm going to say that's a 62 Chevy in the background. That's pretty cool. So yeah, all the way up to the pro level. So a Super 650. That would have been the big bad boy that was available in 1978. And it'll go on and on. So this is just chainsaws. A lot of these have this kind of spec in here that'll tell you what range of bar sizes they had, whether it had a manual oil pump, the ignition, the engine size, fuel capacity, all that. I mean, it's just good, cool stuff. So another thing that was out there, this was unique to Homelight, and it appears to have run from 52 to roughly 1970. It was their own newsletter, Sawdust newsletter. We'll do 1960s. We'll see how long that takes to load. That won't be too bad. So this was like a mini version of Chainsaw Age. Here their lead story was Homelight cart engines, which, I mean, you don't find hardly any information on those. But you can see there's just really cool stuff in here. Dealer of the month. I mean, you don't find this kind of stuff anymore. People don't make this kind of stuff anymore. Cutting a spruce that measures 9 foot 4 inches with a Homelight 926. Tell me that's not impressive. So anyway, Sawdust newsletter. That's what that is. There is hours of reading in here. I've read them. I need to read them again. I've forgotten more than I ever were going to remember out of there. Owner's manuals. Pretty straightforward. Pretty incomplete. I'm working on it. That's all I can say is I'm working on it. Those things tend to be somewhat expensive too when they pop up on eBay, depending on what model they are. So it's fairly incomplete, but what is here again is PDF format. They're a medium-sized file, so depending on your connection, it might take a little bit to download. And here we go, $7.50. And it's the manuals just scanned on a flatbed scanner, so they're going to be a little crooked. You can see a little overlap. Good as it gets these days, I'm afraid. So anyway, if you're looking for an owner's manual, keep an eye in here, and it'll be updated as we have time. So that's Homelight Literature. You got the contact page. That one's pretty self-explanatory. This is the one that everybody finds. One way or the other, it seems like everybody manages to find this one. So if you need to email me through the website, this is the way to go. Or, again, my email address is right there. If you don't want to use the contact form, it goes to the same place. Yeah, that's where it's going to go, is to this email address. And that's the one that I monitor. If you still, if you worked with me years ago and you did something through Hotmail, I still have that account, but I don't watch it nearly as closely. So this is where to do it. Here's my little blurb about where's the phone number. If you want to read that, you guys can go right ahead. There isn't one, and there isn't going to be one. I'll put the video link down in there too. Alright, the blog has kind of fallen on the wayside. This was kind of cool when I started out, and I was announcing new parts and stuff like that, and really building the website, but you can see 2017 was the last time I did it. Maybe I'll get back into this. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. This was about the 2017, if I remember right, it's about the time that bought House of Homelight from the original guy who put that together. And that's kind of taken the place of this, to be honest. So, again, the stuff that's in here is useful, so I'm not getting rid of it, but I don't know what the future of the blog is, to be honest. My personal collection. Now, this is going to take a while to load all this stuff if you've never been to this page before. And this is just me showing off the saws that I've been dumb enough to collect. And there's a lot of them. There really is. I haven't done a count lately, but it's well north of 100. Oh, and my garage shows it. But anyway, I've got them organized the same way that I did the IPLs, by the numbers, just going in numerical and then alpha order. So there's a ton of stuff in here. I'm going to pick one. I'm going to pick this 900D. This is the first saw that I repainted and restored. So if you open that, it's going to take you over to my Flickr account. And this is what that saw looked like when I started out. This was a gift from a guy locally. He had it sitting around for decades. And he's like, hey, I know you're into these. What can you do with it? Well, not bad for a first attempt as far as I'm concerned. Got it restored and running and then tore it down and painted it. So, anyway, that's what these model pages are going to look like. If you click on one, you're going to get whatever pictures I have of whatever saws in my collection. And this is a little more than normal because I was really proud of this. And I'm still proud of it. It's pretty cool saw. It's hanging right where I can see it every single day. So, if you want pictures of something, go ahead and click it. If you see coming soon, it means it should be coming soon. This C5 I've been waiting to repaint for almost a year now. The problem is I keep stacking boxes of new parts in front of my blast cabinet, so I haven't gotten to it. But you can see there's a lot of stuff. And it's not just Homelight. Try not to... There we go. I've got the John Deere badged Homelight models in here. I've got some McCulloch stuff that I've been kind of looking at. Got some Pioneer stuff. And this Poulin. So some of this stuff is all related to some of the chainsaw challenges that are coming up. Some of the cutoffs. They're going to be happening. The 82cc challenge is the first one. This P51 will be competing in that. My XL923, this SP81. That's the 5200. Yeah, the 5200 is going to be competing in that too. So, but anyway, I want to look through a crazy collection. You can start going through all this stuff. Okay, repair and tip videos. You know, I'm not the best about putting new stuff in here, but as I do a video that I think is really going to be of use to people, I'll add it in here. And again, the title's going to show what it is. The picture's going to kind of show what it is. You know, this one is the yard sale chainsaw, really a good deal. I mean, that was just a video that I did for one of my customers who thought he'd gotten a really good deal. It's a great price, but by the time I slapped him with a $120 repair bill, it was like, oh, damn. You know, it was one of those things where that saw had just been used, and it needed a lot of parts to make it reliable. So, it was kind of a video discussing that. But that's the kind of stuff that's in here. Hose replacements, you know, where there's a primer bulb on a Super 2. I mean, look at that spider's web of crap. It's terrible. Using the bar shop to grind bars. Just, you know, cool stuff. There's so much more on the YouTube channel, but these are some of the highlights. The carburetor stuff, a lot of folks really find that useful. So that's what that is. The restoration. So I do need to update this page a little bit, but this is going to show you the information that I have to date of what I have found either works or doesn't work. In this case, I'm trying to show how parts can vary depending on the lighting, the paint color, and some of the different shades that HomeLight used versus some of the paints I've tried matching. And so this is one that's a little bit out of date. I actually have found a duplicolor that is not this one, that does match a little bit better. But the product colors, like this blue, I still use that. The green, the metallic green is still, the metal specs is still one that I definitely use. I'm still using the US Industries Spray Max stuff. That is great. I have tested it extensively. Sugar Creek Supply is the almost exclusive supplier for decals. There's a link to Joe's site. Great guy. So yeah, that's what this page is about. It's just giving, if you're thinking about painting a saw and you have no idea where to start, here's a few ideas and some examples of what I've come across there. And again, I need to take some time and add a little more to that, but you know, where do you go? Where do you start? Okay, and then there's the cart, which is always going to be there. Mine's empty because I don't have anything in it. So I guess I should go through that real quickly. So you found the part you want. And we're going to look up bar plates for mini saws. That's a Super XL set right there. So you're saying, yeah, that's what I need. I want that. You're going to click Add to Cart. And you're going to see there's a 1 there. That means an item was added to your cart. You've got the option of checking out, or you can just keep going. You know, look up another part, add it. In this case, this is all we want. So we're going to click Checkout. And this is basically confirming what you bought. You're like, oh, I need 2. You could change it here. Or, no, that's not what I want. You could blow it away, go back out. This is it. So we're going to check out. You're going to fill in all this stuff that you normally would fill in. That's, you know, pretty slam dunk. We'll see if I can get enough stuff filled in here quickly and not make a mess. Okay. And we'll go to next. You've got your shipping methods. Most commonly, first class mail is going to be far and away the cheapest, and it's fairly quick. You can choose priority. If it's a large item, you'll probably see UPS listed in there, which I actually recommend over priority mail. Get above about 10 pounds, UPS is going to be a better choice. We're going to leave this at first class mail. And then you will be redirected to PayPal to authorize payment. That is the only method I can accept on the website. I do not have a merchant account with Visa or MasterCard, and I haven't had enough requests for Square or Stripe or any of that other stuff to bother with it, to be honest. If you just don't do PayPal, this is where you go, oh, okay, email me, let me know what you need, send me your shipping address, and I will generate an invoice and email it to you, and you can send me a check or whatever through the mail. That's fine. But it's going to take you to PayPal. You're going to complete that, and it'll bring you back to the site, and it should give you an order number. If you do not get a screen with an order number and an email confirmation, the order did not go through. So be sure to follow it all the way through. I can't, because I can't buy from myself. PayPal won't let me do it. I've tried to do that as a demo before, and it just won't let me do it. But that's what checkout looks like. That's the way it's all set up. So I'm going to go back home here. And that's it, in a nutshell. And that's not quick. That's 41 minutes I'm seeing up here on the ticker. So I know that's extremely long. I hope it's of some use. And as always, if you have questions, that contact form right there, that's the way to get a hold of me. So, all right, take it easy, everyone.